Purple Line is a community podcast bringing you in-depth conversations with diverse leaders in the public and private sectors. Whether you're a student looking to gather advice or a professional tuning in for valuable resources, our dynamic programming provides inspiration and insights for all ages and backgrounds. I'm Marianne Gomez-Horta, your host of the Purple Line podcast and the CEO of the Congressional Hispanic Leadership Institute. Welcome. All right. Hello, Paola.
Hi, Marianne.
So I'm so excited that you're here. So for our audience, I want to make sure I get your title correct here, dear. So you are now the Executive Business and Operations Manager at Rivet Industries, right?
That's correct,
Okay.
yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that company before we get into all of the wonderful stuff about your life and your story here.
Absolutely. Well, Rivet is a new tech company, new-ish. We are kind of growing out of that startup mentality finally, but I joined about a year ago, and it's a very new world to me.
All right.
I couldn't get into the nitty-gritty of the engineering aspect of it, but
That's classified information.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay, we can't do that today.
But it's really cool, and you know, it is supposed to help the frontline workers, whether that be out on the field, you know, fighting in wars, or for your typical engineer, manufacturer, just to help them.
Interesting.
You know,
Okay.
with any maintenance requests that they might need in their day-to-day. But of course, our main focus is to help the soldiers.
Yeah,
and that's
definitely.
what we're doing.
That's always a different kind of way to serve, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that must be kind of a cool job.
It is. It's very interesting. Obviously, I'm in more operations, so I don't get to be hands-on, but to see them whenever they test the product, whenever the soldiers get to put them on and try to see how it's going to affect their day-to-day. We want to make them rigid. We want to make sure that they can wear them for 72 hours, because when you're in war, you're not able to, you know, go charge the glasses. So
that's true.
It's very, it's work that I'm very proud to be a part of, and I can't wait to actually jumpstart it and get them out on the field.
Very cool. So part of the reason why, for everyone here, that Paola Arellano is here with us today, walking on the Purple Line, is because she is a former intern.
Yes.
Former global leader from the class of 2022, right?
Right.
She also worked on the Hill, so she can tell us a little bit about that. And she's also currently the vice president at the Alumni Association, the vice president of communications.
Correct.
So thank you again for being with us.
gosh.
So tell us a little bit about your experience coming to Washington. I know that at Tejana,
Yeah.
obviously my mom's from Brownsville, Texas, so I know we're going to talk a little bit about growing up in the border area. But tell us a little bit about your journey here and a little bit about that experience before you came to Washington.
Absolutely. I actually just turned 4 years. I moved out here with CHLI.
It's only been 4 years?
Yeah.
Gosh, it feels like it's longer.
I know.
I mean, I said 2022, and then I'm like, wow.
Yes.
Yeah, time does fly.
January of 2022. I believe it was January 20th. But I just turned 4 years. I am very grateful to CHLI. I think my journey here was very unexpected. It was my last year of college. We were just getting out of COVID, so there was still mask regulations. We couldn't do a lot of, like, there wasn't receptions and things like that were very common when I was doing the internship, but I loved it. Cold as it was, I loved.
That's right.
I loved being here. I was in the office of Congresswoman Jenniffer González-Colón at the time.
Now the governor of Puerto Rico.
Yeah, the governor
so
of
that's
Puerto
pretty
Rico.
neat.
And her staff is and was amazing. So I was able to kind of connect in my Latino community without even being so far away from home. It was like a really good transition for me.
It's also kind of neat that you had that experience, because it's also within the Latino communities, right? Like we talk about Latino in general, but from a Tejana going to a Puerto Rican office, that's kind of a little bit of a difference too, right?
Oh,
So you had a chance to kind of learn what different Latino communities are all about. And I think we also had a CHLI alum in the office there, right?
Oh, yes,
Right?
Linoshka.
Linoshka was there, and then
Which was awesome.
Yeah, so that's also a big help.
And her chief of staff, Gabriela Bofeli,
Right.
was very involved in CHLI as well. So that was really nice to see somebody, one, that like Linoshka, who had gone through the process and understood and could relate to me, and two, just like powerful women,
Right,
right?
exactly.
The congresswoman was a very great leader, and her chief of staff was somebody that I looked up to a lot. So that experience was amazing. A good way to kickstart my DC
definitely.
journey.
Especially when you're away from home.
Yes.
Sometimes it's kind of nice to have that sense of belonging right away and that sense of community. So that's definitely nice. So tell us a little bit about the experience coming to Washington and before that, like growing up. Kind of in the border cities. We talked a little bit about that. Like my mom grew up in Brownsville. I think you grew up in El Paso. So tell us a little bit about what was it like being in El Paso. And I think if I recall correctly, you and your mom used to cross the border on a regular basis for school, probably some shopping. Who knows what else, right?
Everything, right?
So share a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I did grow up on the border of El Paso and Juárez, and that is one of the most unique things growing up. I think I didn't realize how uncommon that was, right? It was my reality, and everybody else, whenever I say that to them, their face changes. We lived on the side of Mexico, and my mom was a grade school teacher. She's a pre-K teacher, so her job, she was a U.S. citizen, and her job was in the U.S., and she wanted, the easiest aspect of it was for me to go to the same school that she was teaching at, or at least close by. So we would cross the border every day. I remember waking up very early.
No kidding.
And then the line at the border can be very long. People wait 2 hours to cross because there's a lot of families like us that do the same thing, right? They cross every single morning to either work or go to school. And I remember a little food truck, the burrito truck that would park right at the start of the border, and I would always order un burrito de frijoles con queso.
You didn't have a coffee to go at the time, or a leche to go,
5 years old.
Exactly. Milk to go. Something like that.
So that was a great experience. I love. I think you appreciate it more when you don't have it. Right now that I don't live in El Paso, when I go back home and I see the beautiful mountains that before I used to think were so ugly because it was the middle of the desert, and being able to cross over, that is one of the most unique things about the cities, is that it's almost like it's one city but two countries.
Yeah.
Every medical appointment I was doing in Mexico when I was
figured.
living in the U.S.
You go to the dentist, like everybody does that if you live on a border city. You go to the dentist, you go to the doctors.
Yes.
You do some shopping as well.
Yes.
So
grocery shopping is so much cheaper in Mexico, so we would grocery shop on a Sunday and come back. And that has been really special to just grow up still close enough to my heritage that I get to experience that, and like still a part and having the U.S. American experience of going to school here and knowing the English language and not having any of those kind of take away from each other.
Yeah. So did you grow up speaking Spanish at home? And then was it a bilingual school or what? Okay, so it was a bilingual school.
Yes, and my mom's actually a bilingual teacher, but when I was growing up, first of all, my parents, it was prohibited to speak English at home. My brother and I were never allowed to speak to each other. If they heard us, Inglés, no.
Right.
Español.
And so why did they do that? Did they even say, or did you figure it out later?
I think I figured it out later. Now I realize that it was way more to make sure that I never lost the Spanish language, my accent as well. When it was happening, I would get really frustrated with them.
Right.
But now I'm realizing it's so helpful because my accent has stayed completely neutral. I'm so appreciative because it's even something that I get to negotiate in my pay. Like, do you want somebody that's bilingual? And you need somebody that's bilingual.
Right.
I can provide that for you for a little bit extra.
Okay, very good, very good. I love that.
But I wouldn't have been able to do that if they let me talk. Them talk to me in Spanish and I talk to them in English, which was never allowed. Still to this day. Yeah,
and it really depends. I think that's also what you find a lot, I think, in some smaller communities or rural communities that, similar with my parents, my dad, still to this day at 92, doesn't speak English, but he understands.
Right.
So totally understands because we tested him when we were in high school, right? So we would say things in English just to check, and he would laugh, and we're like, we knew you understood, right? But it was the same thing. They wanted us to learn and to understand both languages. And, my dad would say, well, you're going to be in school learning English all day.
Exactly.
So when you're here, you need to practice it. So you went to St. Mary's, right?
I
St.
did.
Mary's University in San Antonio. So first off, how did you even get from El Paso to college in San Antonio? Was that something that you decided? Did your parents say, you're going to go to college for sure, Paola? Or share us a little bit with that.
Like a lot of traditional Mexican families, education, at least when you're growing up in the U.S., was one of the most important things. My dad, every time I got out of the car when he dropped me off, he would say, ¿A qué vas a la escuela? And I would have to respond, aprender. So what is school for? And I would have to respond, to learn. And that was engraved in my head. So when I finally was at an age where I actually wanted to be a professional dancer growing up.
Okay.
And my dad, I remember having a conversation with me and saying, like if that's what you want to do, we'll support you, but you love school, and, like, I think you should look at other options. So finally, when I got to high school, I realized, you're right, I might want to do something different.
Do dancing, just a little different. Yeah,
Put on a studio on the side,
Yeah.
So that's when I realized, okay, I need to start applying for schools. I'm the oldest cousin, second oldest in one of the families, but there was nobody really to guide me.
So how many other cousins did you have you added them up? Because I did the same exercise.
8 from one side.
Yeah.
And then I think there's 2, 4, 6, 7 on the other
side. So you're the first one on both sides to go to college.
There was one before me on my dad's side.
Okay.
She graduated from Baylor, so she did awesome.
So were you the first one that left El Paso?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
That's a big deal.
Huge deal.
That's the first.
I think that my aunt had left. She was a Gates Millennial Scholar, actually, but she did not like being away from home, so she came back pretty early on, and I was scared that might be my reality as well. But my parents... I remember when I told them that I was going to apply to our local university just as a plan B, and they were like, what are you, like, I was an alien. What are you talking about? Like,
really?
Yeah, they wanted me to see what was out there, to maybe not live on my own, because that was a hard thing for us.
To see the world, to see different places.
And they wanted me to try it, and if it didn't work out, then you can always come back. But they didn't want me to have that mentality of having to stay.
That is different. Because a lot of times the families don't want, especially the female students, the daughters, to leave. And they'll say, oh, you could just go to a community college here for a couple of years, and then you can transfer.
Yeah.
Like, it's basically like, how long can we, have them stay here? A little bit longer, right? Well, that's very forward thinking of your parents as well.
Yeah, so they kind of pushed me to leave and go Rattlers. I ended up at St. Mary's University, and I used to think I really wanted to go to a huge university. I applied to UT. I graduated top 10 of my class, so that gave me a lot of opportunity, like immediate admission to a lot of schools in Texas. But I decided on St. Mary's ultimately because it was a small community. It's a Marianist Catholic university. You get a lot of, I think it's like 15 students per professor.
That's good.
So it's very close-knit. And I loved it. I was hesitant, but I loved being able to build a relationship with my professors. I obviously loved being on my own. I didn't even have a car in San Antonio, but, like, campus was my city.
Right.
And I worked on campus at a Subway, and I did the thing. I am very grateful that I was able to experience that, even though it was cut short because I am a COVID college kid. So
that's right.
My sophomore year, they sent us home. And I ended up just moving into an apartment in San Antonio, so I could still...
But you stayed in San Antonio.
I went back for, like, the craziness of, at the beginning, and then I got an apartment and moved back to San Antonio, like, 5 months after COVID outbreak. So it was living on... I think I've always been pretty independent, and I take give a lot of credit of that to my parents, but at the same time, it was tough to be my first birthday without my parents.
Oh, my goodness.
You know,
yes.
that experience that you experience again when you're in D.C., right?
Right. It's very different. So wanted to figure out if you can share with the audience here, again, like you said, the whole COVID situation, but you were an intern in the the Congressional Hispanic Leadership Institute's Global Leaders Program. How did you even know to apply for that program?
Yeah, actually, there was during that time there was a conference, AEI, launched, and I think it was called like Hispanics in Politics, Latinos in Politics, something like that. And my professors, because I had such a good relationship with them, pushed and pushed and pushed for me to join this conference, to go to this conference. It was all paid in Miami, Florida, and I finally applied, like very last minute. They let me in, flew to Miami with other Rattler students, and you and the current cohort were at this conference. So I met who at the time I think was in charge of the interns, Mauricio, and the interns were awesome. So a light bulb ignited in me, and I was like, I would love to be a part of that. And I think you guys opened the applications not that long after that.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the timing.
So I saw it on LinkedIn. LinkedIn works.
There you go. Got to connect with people.
And that's how I applied, and I got it.
Yeah. Okay, so now you're a CHLI intern, and you're in the Congresswoman's office. And then the program that we have, obviously, as you know, has 2 months with a member of Congress and then 2 months in a corporate office. So share a little bit with the audience about, first, maybe a little bit more about your experience working in now the governor, but then, the Representative Jenniffer González-Colón's office, and then transitioning to the corporate assignment, since being new to Washington was all new as well.
So new. East Coast in general was so new. I loved working in Congress, or now Governor González-Colón's office, for a lot of different reasons. One, because like I said, the Latino aspect of it made the transition a little easier. I didn't have to feel like I was too far away from home. And when you grow up in Texas, you think Texas is the only state.
Hello, okay. I love that.
So,
I love that.
That you really, they hammer Texas politics or Texas government to you. So this
and
is my
everywhere
first...
you go, there's a Lone Star somewhere.
Exactly.
Right? Everywhere.
Everything is bigger
and all the
in
flags
Texas.
are big, right? I love that.
Yeah. So I didn't know what even a U.S. territory, like their experience, I knew that they existed, but I didn't know much. So the learning aspect that CHLI provides through that is so unique. I was very grateful to have been paired with them, or to interview with them and them choose me. I think it was God's way of saying, like, this is a unique
There's
experience.
More than Texas.
Exactly.
Yes,
there's more than
more
Texas.
Than Texas.
So that was awesome. But the Spanish is so different, right? It's completely different. And as an intern, you're answering phones. They talk very fast. And a lot of the times I would have to look over to my fellow intern, who was actually also a CHLI intern now, and be like, can you listen in? Because I don't understand.
Yeah.
I was like learning Spanish all over again. But they were awesome, so welcoming. I learned new foods, the new culture, and learning, like I said, specifically from the chief of staff and Linoshka and Natalia, who's also on their team, just powerful women who wanted to support me and who were willing to challenge me even a little bit if I did something that I thought was fantastic and they maybe didn't. They would tell me, and I needed that, for growth. So I loved that, and I learned a lot about the issues of a U.S. territory.
Yeah, and then you switched to the corporate assignment at Home Depot, right? So tell us a little bit about that experience.
Which was also, I have to say, I was very lucky. I think I can't speak for everybody, but I was very lucky in my placements to have strong, powerful women who rule kind of the office. Heather Kennedy, who's also a board member, I got to, see a little bit from her. She's a very busy woman.
Yeah.
And she was getting her master's degree while also being this amazing boss.
Yeah.
So that was
while
super inspiring.
The office.
Yes. Yeah. Super inspiring, and a unique experience that I loved from the Home Depot is, one, my dad works in construction, so I loved being paired with, he goes to Home Depot way too many times throughout the week, so I loved being a part of that and seeing kind of the corporate side of a big company like that. But something that I didn't expect is every corporate Home Depot employee is required to go work in a Home Depot office at least once a year.
A store.
A store.
An actual, you need to go to
Sorry,
a store.
yes, a store.
Yeah.
And I was able to be in the paint department, and that was
so
really
is that
fun.
like for like a week or something? Or how
Just
long
a day.
Oh, just a day.
But
okay.
it's to see the operations. Uniquely enough, none of the workers there on that day spoke Spanish, and a lot of the customers speak Spanish. So I had Home Depot workers come and ask
hilarious.
for me to translate.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so... And
I'm surprised they didn't ask you then to stay another day or two, right?
know,
Or come back next weekend or something, right?
I'm thinking like whoever they usually use was off that day, but I love...
So did you sell a lot of paint?
Yeah.
All right, that's good. That's important, right?
And plants. I was in the plant department.
Oh, in the planning department too? Well,
yeah.
you did a lot for one day at Home Depot.
Because I was the only one that spoke Spanish, so they were like... It was
my gosh.
It was so awesome. I've worked retail when I was in college too, so that was awesome. But not only that, they also do community projects. So I was able to, as an intern who had just moved here, learn different areas of the city by going and volunteering with the members of the team.
Okay.
So I went to Baltimore. I think there was one in Annapolis. So little things like that I could just ride with the team members, and they were very welcoming, and that was to me very, very, very unique and beautiful to see them. Not only are they, C-suite employees, but they're willing to come and work with the community and better the community.
Right.
That I love to see that.
I think that's the other part too that, as we talk to interns, right, and you've experienced it, we encourage you to raise your hand, to be engaged, to learn, because we don't usually grow up with kind of like those permissions.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's an opportunity to, people that have said, hey, we're willing to take an intern and we want to mentor, they really mean it.
Yes.
And everybody that has been in a Home Depot office has had a great experience. So
they have an awesome team.
Yeah, they do. They have a good team. One of the things that if I recall from the previous conversations is, I don't remember if you learned this there or in the congressman's office, but share a little bit about your perspective on making mistakes.
Yes, I think this goes back all the way to childhood. My parents, specifically my dad, made it very clear that making a mistake didn't mean failure. It just meant a learning experience. So I was able to take that on to the professional world. And although as a perfectionist myself, making a mistake can be very scary,
right.
I also recognize that that's an opportunity for growth. And as an intern, you might be a little bit more inclined to not want to make a mistake so you don't get yelled at or scolded or etc. But you'll be less prone to make a mistake if you're not shy to ask questions. So I have never been too shy of a person. So I was able to come to my team, even if you don't know them long, and say, I really want to do this right. Am I understanding it correctly? Maybe saying the directions back to them. And more times than not, that helped me not make a mistake. But I'm human, and that happens.
Oh yeah, it's everybody's gonna make mistakes.
Yeah. So I'd rather make the mistake, but also have whoever I made the mistake to be able to give me constructive criticism, so that mistake does not happen again. Because you make the same mistake twice, and it becomes a habit.
Exactly.
So I make sure to correct as best as I can the mistakes that I make, and if I don't, then man, I don't get a little sope on the head.
you do it to yourself. Like,
yes.
Oh my gosh, I should have figured that out. That's hilarious. So anything else you want to share about your experience either on the hillside or the internship on the corporate, or any tidbits of advice maybe for somebody who's thinking of coming to DC and applying for an internship, whether it's with us or somebody else?
I think do it, first of all.
Okay.
First and foremost, do it. Take the risk. If you hate it, there's always home to run to. Or whatever you are comfortable with. Nothing is permanent. Every decision you make is yours. And I would also say to just take the leap of faith, even in small tasks. So I always like to tell the story of my first week as an intern in Congresswoman González-Colón's office. were so gracious to let the interns into the team meetings, which is not common for Capitol Hill.
It's not. Yeah.
And so you're able to learn but also hear everything that will be going on that week, and tasks that are to do. So I was hearing that everybody's workload was really heavy that week, and there needed to be a memo created for somebody that the congresswoman was meeting with. I believe it was somebody from the cabinet or something very important. And I hear that everybody's super filled up. They don't really task anybody with it, but I know that the legislative director's portfolio had to do with said subject. So anyways, I jotted it down in my notes. I hadn't been given any tasks yet, which is very common, so don't be afraid if you don't have any tasks on your first day. And I just kind of went online and I saw, on their team drive, and I looked at briefings that were made before, and I took it upon myself to just write the memo. Tried to match it as best as possible, and then I gave it to the legislative director, and I said, I know this is kind of in your workload. I don't need the credit for it, but I hope that this is helpful, and if it's not, then don't worry about it. And he was very taken aback, and thanked me. He gave that exact memo to the congresswoman and gave me credit for it.
That's awesome.
And that was a really, really awesome experience. So learning hierarchy. So don't step on anyone's toes. Don't give it straight to the congresswoman.
Yes, that's true.
Make sure.
Glad you realized that. That's good. Oh, yes.
Yes, but
glad you realized that.
It's one of those things that I learned from you guys. So we have an orientation at CHLI, and you teach us a lot of do's and don'ts, and I knew that to make friends, you have to, not step on anyone's toes. So that's just a quick snippet of, if you take it upon yourself to do a task, even if it's not appreciated at the time, it's going to be noted, and it's going to be something that they remember.
And it's a different type. It's all appreciated. It's just a little different, and maybe you don't get the thank you the way that you want or at the time, and people get busy. That happens at other times, right? Like we'll do something, and I'm like, oh my God, I have to call so and so and thank them for what they did over the weekend or something like that. For some reason, we kind of get into the next project, next thing, the next event, and you're still kind of thinking like, wait a minute, I got to go back and finish this, right?
Yes.
And finishing includes thanking people.
It's not a malintent.
Right.
For sure.
No. But I love that. That's a great lesson. Kind of pivoting a little bit here, we talked about college and growing up, moving to D.C., share with us a little bit about mentorship. So you kind of alluded to it a little bit in terms of even the mentorship and the guidance from your dad, other people who have helped, like the awesome team in González-Colón's office. But, have there been any mentors or people that you feel like, wow, this person really helped me along the way? And at the same time, who are you mentoring?
Absolutely. I think that there's a mentor in every aspect, big or small. Like there's always somebody that impacts the direction that you go in or the decisions that you're making, whether directly or indirectly. But obviously my parents, they are my biggest supporters and mentors. So even though they have no idea what I do for a living, they don't really understand it. They support it, and in that regard, it teaches me that you don't have to completely understand a person, but you can support and respect what they're doing. So for that, I thank them. I also, because I went to a small university, was able to make a lot of mentors. A specific professor that comes to mind is Dr. Betsy Smith, who anytime she's in DC calls me for dinner,
really?
And
that's
it's
awesome.
very, very sweet. But she kind of teaches you to not be so afraid of yourself, because sometimes you know that you have it in you and you don't want to show it because you might be embarrassed or because somebody might say something or because, you're not too sure about how you'll be able to accomplish it. But she is very adamant of believing in yourself, and she is the one who pushed me to apply for that conference, and she saw it as a fit.
Oh, wow.
So I thank her so much for that, and Magdalena, who works for the department as well.
Is she a professor? Was she a professor of some of your classes, or?
Dr. Betsy Smith, yes.
Okay.
Magdalena is kind of in operations, so she helps with admin work, but extremely just like believes in her students. All of them believe in their students more than sometimes I believed in myself. So they stick out to me as great mentors. And then when I got to DC, I think you have been a great mentor in pushing me to, accept jobs that might seem challenging, or make sure that I am giving everything my best, not being late, standing up straight for pictures, like things like that do make an impact.
Yeah, we do, and tell the students all the time, hey, we're ready for a picture, okay, stand up.
Yes,
no slouching down and all that good stuff. So and all those little tips.
Like I said, the advice can be to somebody giving it so it's significant, and it can cause a big reaction in somebody's head. Something as easy as like dress professionally. This is your first impression for a lot of people, right. So make sure that you look the part that you want to give. So those are things that I consider, and the CHLI Familia has so many amazing mentors. I'm lucky that I'm in a position where I can kind of give advice now. But my biggest project is my little brother. Oh. So I hope
that's a big mentorship project now.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if he sees me as a mentor, but
what you're in school? Is he in school?
Yes, he's in business school right now.
Okay, and when does he graduate?
I think in a year. So the following, not this December, but the next December. I believe that's his graduating date. But, boys can be, when it's just two, we can grow up very differently. But he is so immensely smart, and I hope that whatever I can do to help him, even seeking his own mentors, because obviously I don't know anything about business, has been wonderful.
But just again, like you said, being there, being helpful. I did read a study, and I should have figured this one out before we met. There is a study that has been out there regarding you will succeed if you have a sister.
Oh.
So I'll have to look it up, and I'll send it to
me.
you. I'll send it to you. I literally have seen that before a couple of times, because I have three sisters and a brother, and our brother was our project for a while too. So, and he's doing great. I want to kind of wrap some of these things up together here in terms of family, some kind of final thoughts, and I jotted down some things here in regards to like really moving to DC, right? So when you're an intern, you're going to go back, and you also know, like, okay, I'm going to be in Washington for this internship program for a semester. It has an end. And then you're also trying to figure out, okay, well, do I really like DC? This happens to all the interns. Do I really like DC? Do I want to stay in DC? Do I start looking for a job? And I remember getting a call from you that you got a job. And I'm like, you haven't finished the internship yet? And you got a job. Don't you have a graduation coming up? So kind of walk everybody through that whole awesome situation that you were in.
And I think what I love about it even more is that it's not so unique. Like, a lot of interns get jobs pretty quickly. I hope that more. But yes, I think it was 3 weeks before the internship ended. I had interviewed, thankful to also the CHLI Familia. There was a lot of aspects or people that were able to send my resume and vouch for me. And that's why I get as many coffees with people as you can is another big advice. But they had referred me so much that they were like, okay, let's interview this girl who has no prior experience other than 2 months on the Hill. But I just got along very, very well with Congressman Valadao's office. We just got along, hit it off from the start. And they offered a position like a week after I had met with them. So it was very fast, not how I expected it. But I was due to graduate the same week that CHLI's graduation was.
Right.
So I was freaking, I didn't have anywhere to live. I was living in, intern housing. Graciously, CHLI gives you that, but that ends. And so I didn't have anywhere to go. I did call you and Nicole at the time, and I was like, I don't know what to do. And I think there was a lot of like, okay, proper steps, make sure we tell the right people what they need to know, make sure that there's a protocol to these things, and see, where we can go from there. So I was able to, CHLI graduation was on a Wednesday. That actually, I was like backtracking on pictures preparing for this, and that Wednesday was my first day of work.
It was?
Heather Kennedy let me like go and, start my job and I came back to the office because they hosted the Chile graduation that day.
That
was my first day of work. That's the first day I had met in person the congressman, and he came to my Chile graduation, and we were able to do that. So did the graduation, had to fly back that Thursday night because of it's a Catholic university. On Friday we had the mass, and on Saturday we had the graduation. So I did my college graduation.
Had you already moved out of the intern housing, or it wasn't until the next week, right?
Yeah, the next week.
I'm trying to remember that. Yeah.
Yes, I'm pretty sure, or that same week, something like I was very stressed.
I think it was the next week.
Yes, yeah, and so I graduated that Saturday, and I flew back on a Sunday to make it to work on Monday because it was a new job. I wanted to make sure I had a good impression on the bosses.
That's crazy.
But yes, I'm so grateful that they took a chance on me. Congressman David Valadao, who's also a part of the board of Chile, could not have been a better first boss for me. I would continue working
Andrew's
for him.
good people.
Andrew's great people.
Yeah, Andrew's good. Let's not forget Andrew.
Yes.
Andrew's good people there too.
And he just won an award with Chile.
Yeah, Andrew is a recent recipient of the Congressional Staff Appreciation Award, named the Vermillion Award.
Yes. And he's very well deserved.
Yeah. I
yes.
mean, he deserved that a long time ago, but we can't award everybody
There's
the same
so many
time,
good people.
But Andrew's been really good.
Yes. And they were great mentors as well. Speaking of mentors, they were patient with me, and they helped me learn the ropes, and I have a lot to thank them for.
That's awesome. As you know, the diversity of thought is really important to Chile. Our vision statement is based on advancing the Hispanic community's diversity of thought. Share with us what diversity of thought has meant to you and what it means to you now.
I think it goes back all the way to when I was applying and writing the essay myself, but I learned even more through the process of being here in D.C. that you can be so close-minded when you grow up with the same people around you, the same kind of mentalities, and you might not even have access to the information so easily as the next person or somebody that grows up in a more diverse community. And I see it with my parents. Sometimes you just have to be open to conversation. I think that's how diversity of thought works. You have to agree to disagree sometimes, and that's totally okay. Coexist, I think, is another huge aspect of diversity of thought, and making sure that in this extremely polarized world that we all understand that we're human, that we all want what's best for each other and the country, or however you want to view it, and that it might be a little bit uncomfortable, but you have to be okay with being uncomfortable. Diversity of thought to me means being open to dialogue and then going and grabbing a burger after.
I love that. I love that. Paola, anything else you'd like to share with the audience?
No, I think thank you so much for having me. Thank you, Chile, for providing people like me access to opportunities that you don't even imagine exist. I thank you guys so much, and thanks for having me.
All right, well, Paola Arellano, thank you for walking on the purple line with us today, and for your inspiration and for your story. And so I hope that others who are listening and watching can also kind of feel that energy about, hey, there's opportunities in other places that maybe I hadn't thought about, and being able to go for it. And every now and then, go ahead and make a mistake, and somebody will help you out along the way. So thanks again, Paola. I appreciate it. Thanks for listening to The Purple Line. Follow us on social media at The Chili, at THECHLI. Thank you for joining us on The Purple Line.